something valuable that you want, and you're taking it to the thing. Yes, this would be like the rune ball. So this might be some sort of thing where you take a ball and you get to the next zone, which makes it unlock, right? So if you get this ball into the goal, it ignites, it turns on this like magical power thing, which makes a new safe zone. So that makes sense to me. So Yu would be an obstacle. So we'd have like Yu harassers, and then we'd have like Yu thieves. So you'd have some that like try to grab the ball, and that'd be interesting. Like if we had some Yu that actually grab the ball and try to lift it up away, and then some other Yu that try to surround you. So we'd have like Yu harassers, maybe some thieves. So we could have some different types that do their thing. A fallen down log that you could hide in. Yeah, so oh, this would also be interesting in that maybe the ball is safe, but Bitey is not. So if we had a series of levels where we kind of turn the control on its head to be like, well, it's not necessarily like the Morgs completely ignore the hell out of the ball, and they're just there to mess you up. And if they punch you, you get you get screwed. So you're basically, if the Morg sees you, he just like runs over angrily, and you have to like go dive in some bushes, which would be much more easy for us to control because you can control yourself to get into the bushes, and then the ball would like bounce and then like roll back down the hill or some shit, and you're like, "Fuck, get out of here, you bastard!" So we would want something that the Morgs are not attracted to. We would want something like the rock ball, which is heavy, something like that. Well, all right. So we want a ball that they don't give a shit about. Um, what would they not care about, and why are you doing it? So the question is, why do you have a rock ball? What are you trying to do with it? All right. Seems now. Thank you for sticking around, and have a good one. Okay, so Morgs in the forest, yes, that works. They're supposed to be there. Stealth around Morgs is good. Morgs probably don't like Bitey that much after throwing dirt in people's faces. Um, the question would be, what goal does Bitey have? Like a glowworm egg. Yeah, I guess we'd probably want some sort of idea here, because we need an indicator. Yeah, we need a goal indicator. I mean, this one could be pretty easy. Like, goal is to hatch the egg in the nursery or some shit. You know, like who cares? Yeah, well, the Morag shouldn't care about the ball. That's got to be there for us to do stealth with the Morag and jump between safe zones. Um, so if we had just patrolling Morgs, that'd be one thing. But if we also had bees or something else that make it difficult for you to stay in stealth, that would kind of make sense. So, like, we could have bees here. So we could have like a hive ball, maybe. But the question would be with the hive, why? Like, I guess at the end of it, there's like a little safe spot where Bitey can chow down on it or something. So, like, what we need to do is find a safe spot for Bitey to eat his food. So, I mean, that would kind of make sense. So, it's like this stealth thing. You go through, you're bouncing this hive around, and then eventually you get to, like, there's a little thing that you can hide in, and you see Bitey just, like, crack open this thing, and he gets all fat and falls asleep. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking is, the bees would be attracted to the hive, and the bees would sting you. So if you kicked the ball out of the bees, you'd basically take a hit, which would stun you. And like if you were next to a bush and like the ball rolled next to you, the bees would come over and like smack you out of the bush because you'd get stung and like ah, and then the morgue would come over and punch you in the face and that sort of thing. Alright, so I like avoid the things, stay in range. We got stealth. I think these are good. I think I could make a few levels with all of them of increasing difficulty. You know, like spawn more UU harassers or more thieves or change how things are. What would be another thing? Like, I'm trying to think about what would something be that nobody would be interested in until you took it to someplace. You know, like how, crows will chuck nuts onto crosswalks, in the middle of the street, and then they'll wait for cars to run over and smash them so they can eat the contents. Something like that where nobody cares about it until it's smashed open. So, what in the world would smash something open in Brackenwood that's not then going to be very interested in the thing? So, if you had like a nut and you smack the nut out of a tree and then you go take it somewhere and it gets crushed, like you piss off a Morag and he smashes the nut open, he would then eat it. Because it'd be like, oh, it's the food now. So we need something else, like a boulder. The Dashkin totems? I don't know what you mean by Dashkin totems. Yeah, but I don't know what you mean by the Dashkin totems. Like, I have no idea what you mean other than that. Yes, Yes, okay. There's an object called a Dashkin totem, and Bitey does like them or whatever. But what about it? I have no connection to what you mean by the larger picture of. Well, I was thinking about that with the hive. Like, if there was a. But what would crack open a hive, right? That's kind of the issue I was having there. Is the goal is to find a safe spot and eat the food and sleep. And it's just like, well, the food's very filling and Bitey wants to just pass out. Okay, it makes sense that he wouldn't just, guzzle it right there because, it's a big hive and it's got a lot of juice in it and he doesn't want to waste it. And, that's fine. But with like a nut or something, what would crush it? What would be something like you could cook something so we could take something to like a geothermal vent and it, you know, softens it up or some shit. We could take something to a body of water. We could we could be planting a whispering tree or a globe tree or something like that. I don't know. I think we've got that sorted out, but I'm trying to think of what would be the next theme for a level. Why don't we start with that first? So what we don't have here is don't touch the ground. Don't let ball touch ground. So which one of these balls is durable enough that we can hit it repeatedly, but is, if it hit the ground, would disappear on us? I mean, if we had a fat sack ball, we could have him, if he hits the ground and stays there, he like wakes up and then he runs into the background or something. Or he just like digs into the ground and won't come out. I don't really like that though. If we're gonna have a fat sack ball, vernalization. No, I don't want to. I don't think that idea does anything. Like that idea works. Yeah, so don't want to talk about that anymore. Because we've already got a mission which has that sort of stuff in there. We need something else. That something that would touch the ground and disappear, but is durable enough to take hits. Um, there could be something about the ground that is different than being in the air. We could have it be different types of ground. We could have some critters on the ground that want to eat the thing. So it'd be like if you had a fish ball and you wanted to keep it away from the prowlies, we would have. Yeah, but they're so damn nimble that they're doesn't make sense. I mean, we basically want like a floaty ball that is like real slow and you can't hit it too hard. So like you punch it and it doesn't really go too fast. And so you'd be popping it up over obstacles. You don't want it to touch the ground. What would it be made of? There could be some reason why Bitey can touch this, but nothing else can, such as Bitey is using a special move or is being careful with it. So we could use kind of a bubble ball, but The rock ball smashes when it... No, that doesn't make any sense. The only thing that kind of makes sense here is that there's something about the way Bitey's hitting it, and it's kind of like an egg ball that you're kind of... If it hits, if it hits a solid object, it'll crack open. But it can still, like, eggs can take some force on them as long as it's not, like, if you punched it or you kicked it, it would crack open and disappear. But if you popped it up or something like that, it could, not explode on you. Let's see. We could also have something like something we don't want to touch the ground because it's bad. Like we could have a UU ball, like a corrupted ball of black goop, and if that touches the ground, it corrupts the area. It's an evil ball, so it disappears because and you're keeping it away from all the stuff. So a corruption ball would be something. So everything hates this would be like if you had a Morag and you had the corruption ball, the Morag would actually walk away from you. He wouldn't like come up and punch you in the face. He'd be like, ugh, go away from you. What keeps it from corrupting the player? Well, that's what the time limit's for. And we can also use that for a number of hits before Bitey just collapses and dies. Right? I think that's one of the things that Bitey is supposed to be above the lesser critters in the woods. So if anybody's going to resist the corruption, it would be him. So if we had a corruption ball, so this would basically be like a series of levels where you don't let the ball touch, I guess, grassy. You don't let the ball touch certain ground types. So this would work real well in the grasslands. So basically, types that, so there would be safe ground types, would be like magical barrier, rock, wood, and unsafe ground types would be things like soil and grass, dirt and water and stuff like that. So yeah, if it touches anything that's like alive, so we could have like a little fat sack there, and if it hits on a rock, and if it hits the fat sack dies. God, fucking awful. Have the stereotypical like dead animal just like flip the fat sack upside down with like his little feet in the air. It's like, oh no. All right, so where are you taking this thing? You're taking it to the garbage bin. So goal is to take the corrupt ball and throw in the cosmic garbage can. Okay, so who's gonna be in your way? Or is this just gonna be like if we had any real obstacles, what would the obstacles be? I think the obstacles would be things that you don't want the ball to touch. They probably also don't want to touch the ball. Things that wouldn't avoid the ball would be plants. So, so maybe we could have like some whispering tree stalks that are maybe fresh that aren't resistant to the corruption. I mean, the UU might want it back, but this is about not letting the ball touch the ground, right? It's not about anything else. So we want stuff that makes the ball either get out of your control and, like something like a wind gust comes by and blows the ball a little bit out of your reach. That would be a good harassment, because, it would just you're trying to hit it, but then like, so maybe some blowing wind would be a whispering stalks to avoid. We could have, yeah, I like the idea of like wind gusts, which move the ball. Yeah, because what you do is you'd have like one level that's basically just like pop this up and there's not much in the way, and then there's other stuff where you need to keep this ball moving. So if there's like a wind gust that comes through, you're gonna have to sit there and bounce the ball, and then but it keeps moving back, so you gotta like keep going back and forth and hitting it forward. Um, so we'd want some active obstacles like wind gusts, which might come in every so often and be like just a regular challenge. But then we want some stationary challenges of things that would be difficult. Like we could have difficult terrain, but it would be nice if there was some sort of something to dodge, something to kind of time against. So what it would be is something that's attacking bitey, or something that's either kind of like the wind could move the ball. What would go after bitey in this situation? I mean, the UU would go after bitey in this situation. We could have a migration of fat sacks. That's an idea. What would we want to do? We basically want, because for these levels, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be popping the ball up. We want to give you something else to do with the rest of your abilities, so you're not just hitting that one key over and over again and navigating terrain with jumping. We want some reason for you to, like, maybe punch or kick or stomp. So if we had Yu that, like, kind of surrounded you or something else and slowed you down, and then you had to stomp, or I don't even know how to communicate that. So some critter that would try to go after it, and you'd have to, like, pummel the hell out of them to keep them from killing themselves. So that maybe they go after it and you have to punch them and then they fly away all angry. I mean, that would be the other thing. You could we could punch some stuff out of the way, such as, breakable rocks or breakable barriers. I do like the idea of sleeping critters that you might have to go wake up. They're not completely harmless with spike feet. Yeah, I don't think they'd be. Maybe if you wake them up, they get whatever. All right, well, I think that makes sense. And we've got some interesting balls that we're using, like the. I like the idea of having something that can explode for that glowworm egg, because then we can use that as a weapon later. I like the rune ball. We can use that for puzzles or other things like that. All right, so I think that's don't let the ball touch the ground. That works. Because we can have, for every one of these, pretty much we can have levels where we just put arbitrary goals, such as don't let the ball touch the ground, and then just like have it be a leather ball and just have a kind of a little simple challenge course. And then we can have, the more advanced levels actually have, real themes around them. So it would be another ball control thing that we could use here. Like we've got avoid things. We've got stay in range of stuff. We've got stealth. We have don't let the ball touch the ground. We don't have the um, like hit the ball only a certain number of times, and then maybe we need some scoring challenge sorts of stuff. But maybe those are better in the scoring category. All right, so what would be another sort of situation where we need to? I mean, we could just have some obstacle towers and shit like that, and we could have just climb the tower be the thing. Navigate the maze. I think that might be a good idea. So we have navigating a maze. What would we do for navigating a maze? Probably just a leather ball or different types of balls. Would we have a maze where maybe you have different balls that you need to get all the balls to the end to win, sort of thing? I like the idea of a scoring mission that's like feed the prowlies, and there's just like a There's just like fish jumping out of water or something, and you just smash the fish over into like it's just about jumping and punching fish out of the air over onto the shore, and then like all these prowlies just eat the fish. But that would be that's a scoring mission. Oh, I wouldn't. No, if it's a scoring challenge, no, it's just how many fish can you hit out of the air. Like there's just they're all jumping all over the place, and you punch the fish over there, right? So it wouldn't be like a get past these guys. It would be like how many fish can you get to them, and then at the end they just have like a really happy looking pack of prowlies, right? They're all fat and happy and asleep. That would be victory. You fed the prowlies. But if we're looking for these control challenges, I don't think I could make 30 levels with just avoid, stay in range, stealth, don't let the ball touch the ground. I would like something where you have to hit it a certain number of times, or we could do maze navigation. So maze navigation, I think navigating a maze is fun. Like the climbing the tower map was actually not too bad. Yeah, pretty much like that is what I was thinking. Except, of course, you'd be, jumping over there onto platforms and crap like that. So I guess maybe just a leather ball. And the challenge is navigate the maze. And every level is a good candidate for navigating a maze. And we can just do it that way. Series of levels where you navigate mazes to the end to score a goal. Simple time trial, no enemies. So I think that pretty much covers the control missions. Then, like, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different mission types. They're very distinct from each other, and it's probably good enough. Collect all the balls? I mean, that's like collectibles. I think collectibles will just be like a whole bunch of, like, that's going to be more like red light, green light sort of game modes. All right, so let's kind of organize these. All right, so we've got the control stuff, so I'll just throw these over here. That makes sense. More like a multi-ball challenge. That seems much more like a scoring thing. I don't know. All right, anyway, I'll be right back. Well, I might be getting out of here. The NBA finals are at 6, and I wanted to go say hello to a few people today. So, I'm feeling pretty good about the ideas, though, behind this. Alright, so for object collection, the goal will be to navigate sense. Alright, so I need stuff kind of like this for object collection. So the goal of collecting objects is to create an environment in which the player works on their navigational skills and experiments with different types of moves. To create an environment in which the player can fine-tune their movement abilities in increasingly difficult time trials. Alright, yeah, well, I'm gonna head out of here. So, thanks for sticking around, and I think we've got a good design for all the control missions. I like what put together. Of course, I don't know how much of this is actually possible in, the week or so we've got, because we got like Morgs and Feather Nets and Yu and all this shit. So it's like, well, we'll see what we can do. It may be that I make placeholder sorts of stuff, kind of like I made all the platforms. Yeah, I made all the platforms, which are just magical platforms, which are very much placeholder. So we'll see. May also just release, only the control levels or something. Anyway, I will see you later. Have a good day and or night.